From The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. Quote, under the strain of this continually impending doom, and by the sleeplessness to which I am now condemned myself, I, even beyond what I had thought possible to man, I became, in my own person, a creature eaten up and emptied by fever, languidly weak both in body and mind, and solely occupied by one thought, the horror of my other self. I'm Holly.
I'm Leslie.
And we would be dead. Leslie.
Hey, Holly.
Hey, Fiends. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed the first episode of Shortly After Midnight.
Yes.
We did it.
It was so good.
I thought it went well.
I'm very proud of us.
I'm proud of us, too. I'm so excited to see where these stories are going to take us, especially now that we're heading into spooky season. Because in my mind, we're heading into spooky season.
I mean, it's August.
It's August.
It's the middle of August.
It's Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
You know, I missed our weekly episodes during our 6 weeks away.
Oh my God. It went so fast too. Like slow and fast.
It did. It's weird when time does that.
Time just moves in weird ways.
It sure does. But I have to say it was much needed and we were able to get so much done. Like we didn't stop working. We did work through all of it.
We did, yeah. We stressed, we worked, we laughed.
Some more, worked some more.
And still didn't really have a summer.
No. No, I am resigned to not having a summer for a while. It's okay. That said, we are back this week, full force with We Would Be Dead, and we have a very delicate case. I think that's fair to say, right?
Sure.
We are talking about the disappearance and ultimate murder of the Decker sisters, Paityn, Evelyn, and Olivia, and the ongoing manhunt for their father, Travis. And it's one that I feel can keep people up at night.
Yeah.
I know that I lost a lot of sleep thinking about this one, which left me a little peaked, a little red-eyed. Just, it's not generally my best. What about you, Leslie? How are you feeling?
Yeah, not great.
Yeah. It's kind of a stressful one. Now, I've tried to bring the color back into my cheeks, but nothing seems to work. I guess I could just go back to sleeping and drinking water or like attempt this mythical activity people call relaxing. Is that how you say it?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really weird. I would rather try a quick fix because, you know, I love a quick fix. Maybe a super special secret ingredient that I've been hearing whispered about a lot as of late. I've heard that all we need to regain our youthful visage is just a few precious drops of
validation, a hill worth dying on.
The classic version.
Yeah.
And best of all, our fiends can give it to us totally free of charge.
What?
Yeah.
How?
But how, you must be asking yourself.
Yes.
Well, I will tell you. Simply head on over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating or a friendly review. It really is the only way to move this podcast forward. Ratings and reviews equal attention, attention equals support, and support equals more and better content for all of you.
Wow.
Yeah, so good. But if you just can't wait for more We Would Be Dead in your life, don't worry. You don't have to. You can support us over on Patreon. There, for just a few dollars a month, you will gain access to our entire catalog of 30-minute horror movies, our special mini-sodes, our weekly after-show Host Mortem, which is available in both video and audio formats. Maybe you want to see our faces. Maybe you don't. Both are okay. Plus, you'll get a special gift in the mail from us, the opportunity to participate in some giveaways, some merch deals, an on-air toast dedicated just to you, and more.
How lovely.
Isn't that great? Now, patrons, we will definitely be giving you some shortly after midnight extras. We're just not 100% sure what they look like yet. I think we discussed still doing postmortem for that, kind of talking about it like a little after show. Maybe we'll do some behind the scenes look or like try to do a little video of us recording it. Something, there'll be extras that could be really fun. They're just not nailed down yet. But we did talk about it. We didn't forget you. And we do have more exclusive content in the works for you, our beloved patrons. But if you have anything you'd like to see over here from We Would Be Dead, never hesitate to let us know. In all honesty, we are here thanks to our patrons. So come on over and be a part of the We Would Be Dead family. Woo. Yeah, it's nice here. And if all of that is a little too much for you, you can simply follow us on social media. We are at Would Be Dead Pod anywhere and everywhere you get your content. You can like our posts, share our posts, like and share our posts.
Yes, that's a good one.
Do that one, please. Or leave us a comment. You can post about your favorite episode. You can let us know when you're listening. Tell a friend. Tell a neighbor. Tell that one person you know who is like a little too into being prepared to survive in the woods alone. You know, that neighbor who always has camping equipment airing out on their front lawn and goes on walks through the neighborhood with a walking stick they found on the Appalachian Trail. They probably bring like dried apricots and homemade beer to parties. What's their name?
Gavin.
That is absolutely their name.
Yeah.
That was a really good one. You did a very good job with that one. I can see him now.
Yeah, me too.
His outside hat has a real wide brim and a chin strap.
Yeah. Like he has a hot name. He might, if he wasn't rugged, and if he didn't have a six-pack, he might not be hot.
Right, but he does.
Yeah. And like we have to discuss it all the time. Is he cute? Is he not?
But
is he homeless?
Is he clean enough for our taste?
I don't know.
It's hard to say.
He looks dirty, but is he clean?
He has a house in the neighborhood, so he's got something going for him. He's the mystery.
Or is he just squatting?
Or did he inherit that house? We don't know.
Yeah, we don't.
He doesn't seem to have anything else. He's pretty nice, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, his dried apricots are passable.
Oh, yeah. And the crickets he eats.
He tries to convince us to try them all the time. And we're like, Gavin, no.
Always brings them to the barbecue.
I don't care what kind of spices they have on them. We don't want a cricket.
Yeah. Oh, chocolate?
It's full of crickets. All right, well, then your friends and Gavin can become fiends and we can all hang out together.
Lovely.
Yeah, I would hang out with him.
Oh, for sure.
I won't eat his crickets.
No.
But he probably has some crazy stories to tell.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm down.
Yeah. He goes to Burning Man probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Well, I think that's all I have in the way of news before we begin. Leslie, do you have anything else to add?
Did not come prepared, so no.
All right, then. On with the show. Now, I hesitated to cover this story at first because it does deal with the deaths of 3 small children at the hands of their own father. I'm not looking to surprise anyone with the storytelling of this case, so if that's a spoiler to you, I'm sorry, but today we're just talking about facts. Leslie and I actually talked about this one at length several times. I remember that at first we kind of both decided to stay away from it.
Yeah.
We were like, this happened, everyone's talking about it. We don't love kid cases.
It just made me so sad.
It's very sad. It's very sad. Not only was the topic of this case almost too awful to bear, but also the media coverage has been pretty loud and opinionated. It's giving Netflix documentary without an actual Netflix documentary. Yeah. Partial shade only to Netflix because some of the things they produce are fantastic. But you should know when you go into watching one of their documentaries that in order for it to be produced, it has to have an opinion.
Right.
They are documentaries on streaming services like that cannot just be straight up facts. They have to be pushing something for producers to pick it up. So you are watching someone's opinion and you have to know that.
And opinions can be wrong.
They often are. So you might not be watching the absolute truth. Now, as you can imagine, this case has caused, and its media coverage has caused a lot of very loud people to make huge judgments, assumptions, and accusations that are at best not helpful and at worst downright cruel and dangerous. This case is very nuanced. I know it is tempting to chuck this one into the official Chris Watts Evil Dad flaming garbage pile, but I can assure you that is not what we're looking at here.
Which makes it so much worse.
It does. It absolutely makes it worse.
Well, not worse, but you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
It's like even scarier.
It's even a harder pill to swallow because when you don't have this definite villain, it's really hard to have the blame and anger that you feel inside.
Yeah.
You don't know where to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not saying you can't blame Travis for this. You absolutely can. But there are a lot more details to talk about than there were with someone like Chris Watts. So I'm just saying, go into this with a more open mind than you think you maybe should, if that makes sense. In the end, we decided to cover this case for 3 reasons. 1, it's important to get the reality of the story out there. If you're walking around saying that you would have seen the red flags and done things differently if this were your ex-husband, well, then you're in for some surprises. 2, it's important to know how ill-supported our country's veterans are. Many of them are suffering with unaddressed, lasting, critical mental health issues, and that comes with a lot of consequences people really don't seem to want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't just affect them, it affects everyone around them.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, this case is active and ongoing, but not vague or tied up in legal stipulations and secrets. So the more eyes and ears that are on it right now, the better. Okay, with all of that out there, let's get into it. This week's case takes us to Wenatchee, Washington, the apple capital of the world.
Nice.
Yeah, got a lot of apples there and apple blossoms, everything. It's applelicious.
Yum.
Wenatchee is a departure from our normal small town locations. It is the most populous city in Chelan County, Washington. If I pronounced that wrong and it's Chelan or something, I'm very sorry. Clocking it at over 8 square miles with a population of over 30,000 people, Wenatchee is also the county seat. Big, densely populated place. Wenatchee also couldn't really be called rural, but it is outdoorsy, if that makes sense. Located in the north-central part of the state at the confluence of the Columbia and Wenatchee rivers near the eastern foothills of the Cascade Range, the city boasts some pretty spectacular views and access to some really beautiful trails, campsites, and recreational areas. Like their Wikipedia page, their Parks and Recreation section is very long.
Oh, wow. Leslie Knope would be proud.
She would be so excited. She would know what to do with Wenatchee. Yeah. It's huge.
Yes, she would.
She would do it better than anyone else.
Yeah.
God damn it.
She'd have so many binders.
She really would. Bless Leslie Knope. Quote, there are several 18-hole and 9-hole golf courses, a 9-hole disc golf course, and countless baseball diamonds and soccer fields, as well as 2 skateboard parks. As of 2023, pickleball is also becoming extremely popular, with multiple parks providing outside play in the valley as well as indoor play. So you can pickleball in Wenatchee.
Wow.
Yeah. There are many places to hike, fish, and hunt for both birds and larger game, so people be in the woods. Boating and water recreation are also quite common. Many kayak, windsurf, and water ski on the Columbia, so there's lots of water stuff to do. There's also whitewater rafting and inner tubing, which is frequent on the Wenatchee River. In the winter, the mountains near Wenatchee provide great snowmobiling, sledding, at the Squilchick State Park, as well as skiing and snowboarding. Nordic skiing is also available at several different locations. I don't know what the difference between Nordic skiing and other skiing is. Is it like cross-country skiing versus downhill skiing?
I feel like I should know this.
I don't know anything about skiing. And it's not that important, but just so you know, you can do both. All that is to say that there are a lot of people outside in all seasons all the time in this town. It is like a populous, busy, people all over the place, even out in the woods place.
It's like an LL Bean magazine.
It's very much in
real life.
Oh, yes. You're in a boat. You're in a kayak. You're water skiing. You're also real skiing. Nordic skiing. It has it all. Camping, which also leads me to believe there's a fair amount of tourism. Mm-hmm. And the tourism is all like outdoor centric. This is not like a resort town. It's like a go camping, be outside place.
Yeah, like I want to relax by being active.
Yes. I want to cut down vegetation and put up my tent and survive off river water. And apples. Yeah. And I say that because it is kind of important later. Because I think a lot of times when we go, oh, this horrible thing happened in the woods, no one was around for miles. It's like isolated. These are kind of populated woods. There's people out all around. Just wanted to make that point. Wenatchee also has a rather colorful history with its children. What
does that mean?
This is very interesting. Quote, the Wenatchee child abuse prosecutions of 1994 and 1995 were the last large-scale multi-victim, multi-offender case during the hysteria over child molestation in the 1980s and early 1990s, aka the Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
And this one was particularly grievous as many of the accused adults had intellectual disabilities and were therefore easily coerced into making confessions.
Oh.
It's gross. They also used absolutely no protocol when they interviewed children, so they were all pretty coerced into just confessing to things that didn't happen. I'm not saying that some of them didn't. I mean, there's obviously going to be some vagaries in there, but it was a Satanic Panic trial, so it did what that does.
Yeah.
And it was a big one, a big, awful one. Then, in the early 1990s, Wenatchee had a reputation as Happy Pill Town or Happy Valley, with psychologist James Goodwin, a.k.a. the Pied Piper of Prozac, being in residence there. He was a psychiatrist that was rather liberal with his use of Prozac, which extended into children. He had like everyone in town on Prozac, just so much Prozac. I can't get into all of it, but basically he did not get as much consent from parents as he should have and just put so many people on medication. This case is a huge mix of a witch hunt and like cause for real concern because this doctor was like, his license was taken and then it was given back. So they were like, you're terrible. Wait, I don't know.
We need a doctor.
What's going on? It's just interesting that both of those events happened in this town. And these two events specifically led the New York Times to call Wenatchee the little town of horrors.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. Now, if I were the Washington State Police, I'd probably try to avoid any more terrible Wenatchee press.
Yeah.
And I'd be on my game when it came to children in trouble.
You would think.
But alas, I am not the Washington State Police. And they did things kind of differently.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Moving on. So, it is Friday, May 30th of this year, 2025. This just happened.
I know.
Ugh.
That's probably also why it feels worse.
Yeah.
Because it's so fresh.
And I don't normally like to cover a case until it has gone to trial and it's done and it's closed. Because you really don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You really don't. And often if information is passed around that could be used in trial, it can be discounted and that can adversely affect how the justice system, I don't know, processes it. But we're not really in that danger here.
Yeah.
Regardless, it is Friday, May 30th of this year at around 8:30 p.m. and Whitney Decker is nervously waiting for her 3 daughters, 9-year-old Paityn, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia to be dropped off by their father, Travis. Travis and Whitney are divorced, and Whitney has full custody of their 3 children, but Travis does legally have some visitation. Travis had picked up the girls at 5 p.m. for a short visit and was supposed to drop them back off at home at 8 p.m. And at this point, Travis was late. Now, normally, as a chronically late person myself, I would say that everyone deserves a little bit of grace. And if this were me, it would be normal. But at this point in time, it was not normal for Travis.
Okay.
Travis, again, at this point in time, was not late with the girls. His situation was tenuous and court truncated. He really couldn't afford to mess up his visits with his children, so if by some chance he did need more time to get them home, Whitney would always get a call or a text so she knew what was going on and when to expect them. But on this day, there had been no word from Travis at all. To make matters worse, he hadn't answered any of Whitney's texts, and her calls to him were all going straight to voicemail, which means his phone is off.
Yeah.
So immediately, Whitney felt unsettled. As soon as he's a little late, she's like on edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
She just felt like something wasn't right. And by 9:45, when the girls still had not returned home and there was still no communication with Travis, Whitney had had enough. I don't blame her. I would too. So she called the Wenatchee Police Department to report the girls missing. She explained her situation to them and asked for an Amber Alert to be issued for the girls immediately. That's the right course of action.
Yeah.
100% it is. But let's pause for a minute. If you're hearing this case for the first time, you're probably a little bit confused right now. These girls were with their father on a short visit. Why would Whitney, their mother, immediately assume that something bad had happened? Involving the police at an hour and 45 minutes late seems to be a little irrational, doesn't it? Maybe his phone died. Maybe they ran late and he couldn't call her. I mean, these are all normal explanations.
Or even even instead of jumping to Amber Alert, more like, I cannot get a hold of them. This is not normal. Can you please go check?
Right. If you know where to check. But in this case, this is not irrational at all. This is kind of a special case because there's a lot that everyone at this point doesn't know about Travis. So we'll start from as beginning as we can. Not much is available about Travis's upbringing and childhood. We do know that he was born on August 15th, 1992. Makes me feel very old.
Oh, God.
Gross, right? Hate it
man,
so
why did I
much.
imagine him older?
Yeah,
But
no.
Of course, that would make sense. His daughters are young.
Yeah, he's 32.
Oh, shit.
Now he's 33 now. He had a birthday.
I'm so old.
I don't like it. And he was raised in Pewaukee. I might be pronouncing that wrong. A suburb of Milwaukee in Waukesha County, Wisconsin. Now, if Waukesha sounds familiar, that's because the Slender Man stabbing case, among other cases we have covered, occurred there. Early in our podcasting career, I used to frequently comment on what might be in the water in Waukesha because we did mention it several times.
That's true.
Probably nothing. I'm sure it's great. Don't come for me, Waukesha. Travis graduated from Pewaukee High School in 2010. I'm pronouncing it that way because it is spelled P-E-W-A-U-K-E-E. To me, that says Pewaukee.
Nice.
But I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
So a former neighbor has described him as, quote, extremely athletic. And that's true. He was on the wrestling team and the football team, and he played all kinds of sports, and he was really good at it. They also said he was kind during his teenage years, noting his admiration for his grandfather, who was a Green Beret. That greatly influenced Travis's path into the military. And he did have, in my opinion, a rather extensive military career. It's not super long, but he did a while. So Travis's military friends haven't widely spoken out about him since this happened, but one of them did briefly speak to Fox News 13, where he described Travis as being quiet, a bit of an outcast, yet a hard worker and kind of narcissistic.
Okay.
That last one feels like a little bit of a dig. He said that Travis spoke often about wanting to follow in his grandfather's footsteps, the Green Beret, and he expressed a desire to return to the Special Forces, though he never did. Okay, so let's talk about Travis's military career. Travis served as an infantryman in the Army from March 2013 to July 2021. He was deployed to Afghanistan from March to July of 2014. And for those of you doing the math, this would mean that he started serving when he was 20 and was deployed for 5 months when he was 21. And I don't know if you've seen a 21-year-old lately, but they are pretty young.
Yeah.
That's like a kid.
I know.
After this deployment, so from 2014 to 2016, Travis was stationed in Washington State, where he served as an automatic rifleman with the 75th Ranger Regiment at Joint Base Lewis McChord, somewhere in Washington. While there, multiple sources mentioned that he possessed expert infantry badge and a parachutist badge, so he has some specialties. This indicates advanced proficiency in infantry tactics and airborne operations. Keep that pinned in your brain. I don't know that either one of those things are going to be particularly useful in what we talk for later, but it is advanced military knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Right. Now, it was during this stay in Washington where he and Whitney met. They met online at first.
Ooh.
And then they had some dates. They fell in love, got married, and quickly welcomed Paityn, their first daughter, into the family. In 2016, when Travis was just 24, by the way, I like to keep track of his age because it's important to think about how young your mind is when you're going through certain things and what it could possibly, how it could affect you in the future. At least I think it is. Yeah. So it's 2016, Travis is 24, and he tried to join the Ranger Regiment. That's like a very specialized military regiment, but he failed out of Ranger school. So he was denied admission.
Okay.
Which also means the Rangers have, to my knowledge, pretty advanced survival skills. But because he failed and didn't actually become a Ranger, he did not have on his person their like book of survival tactics.
Mm.
A military professional later states this in an interview. That is the only reason I bring it up. But he did go to Ranger School. He just failed. That's okay. I'm sure it's hard. So instead, he was then stationed in Italy with the 503rd Airborne Brigade Combat Team. This means he's the pilot, I believe, Air Force, from 2016 to 2018. And he brought his family with him. So Whitney and Paityn came along. They were in Italy for a couple years. Probably was lovely.
Mm-hmm.
After Italy, Travis was moved once again. He was stationed in Georgia, the state, not the country. And the whole family came along as well. At that point, the family included both Paityn and Olivia. The Deckers spent 2 years in Georgia, and then Travis was transferred out of active duty and placed into the Washington National Guard, which landed the Decker family in Wenatchee. And because I think, again, it's important to keep up with time and age, at this point, it is 2021. Travis Decker is 29 years old. He has spent 8 years and change in the military, moved 5 times, gotten married, and has 3 children. He is not yet 30.
Right.
That is so much life in such a short amount of time.
I know, it's a lot.
To me, that feels intense. I also have to state right now that in some sources, it is stated that he was taken off of active duty because of issues he had with post-traumatic stress disorder, specifically complex PTSD. So I think at this point he had reported struggling some. And I think that it is suggested in some places that that's why the military took him off of active duty.
Okay, but it's not confirmed.
I cannot confirm that, no.
Okay.
I know that he was taken off of active duty. I can't tell you exactly why. That's just speculative. It does make sense though.
Sure.
You know? And I do know that the military does have documentation of him struggling with complex PTSD. So,
okay.
All right. So that's a pretty good sized military career though, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure.
I know some people are in the military for 20, 30, 40 years more, but that seems like a good chunk to me. But the National Guard, I should mention, is not the same as active duty at all. The National Guard is an emergency relief organization and considered by most people to be a part-time job. The time commitment is 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks of training a year. So if you're in the National Guard, unless there is like a tornado in your town or like riots or something, you really don't have to be around much.
Pretty lax.
It is pretty lax. And they're also paid per engagement, weekend drill, and training sessions. So that 1 weekend a month they're paid for, the 2 weeks a year, and then anytime they're called into act. But other than that, they're not really paid.
Right.
It is a considerably calmer lifestyle. And in fact, most National Guard members either have a second job or are enrolled in some form of higher education at the same time.
Right. That would make sense.
Usually it's not like your main thing. But was Travis's main thing. That's all he did. So active duty, on the other hand, is a 24/7 commitment. Like you are always on call.
Right.
This is a considerable change for Travis, and it would be for anyone. And some of the effects of his time spent in active duty, especially his deployment in Afghanistan at this point, start to kind of bubble up to the surface. Again, I would say this is not uncommon for anybody who's faced that kind of traumatic atmosphere. But statistically, you may read that only 2 to 17% of soldiers that are deployed into active combat zones will experience some form of PTSD. That's the statistic listed everywhere. But it really should be mentioned that those statistics rely on soldiers that seek and receive treatment from military-affiliated services.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be going to veteran services to get treated for you to be included in that count. And the percentage of soldiers who do that, to most people's suspicion, is pretty low.
Yep.
And the percentage of soldiers who need treatment versus those who get it or even think to ask for it, pretty different. Now, there's no real way to tell how many U.S. military veterans are silently suffering mentally, but it is most definitely a whole lot more than we would think or that is documented. I think we can kind of all agree on that.
Yeah,
it's a pretty big problem.
Mm-hmm.
There is nowhere for these poor people to find help in a lot of cases.
Yeah. And of course, like feeling embarrassed or...
Yeah, they're trained to kind of not deal with that.
Yeah.
And also, like, it's hard for them to get help that is financially covered by their military tenure. It has to be through veteran services or else they're paying out of pocket.
Yep.
And if you're just in the National Guard, that's the only income you have, you don't necessarily have therapy money laying around or good insurance if it's not through veteran services. So that's what I'm saying. Now, during Travis's time in active duty, he didn't outwardly display a lot of symptoms of anything per se. He was, as I have said, an active, involved, and loving father and husband. Maybe I didn't say that yet. He was. He's reported by his ex-wife and by people who knew him to be like a good dad before this. He was at soccer games and school, like concerts, and he did the whole dad thing. He was involved in his community. He was a loving father and husband. But when things slowed down for him, that's when Travis began to change. I feel like that's like you have time to think about it, you know?
Sure.
It's like when I used to do like dinner theater, this is not the same, but I would have a full 7-month schedule where I worked 7 nights a week. And I'm not kidding. I worked 7 nights a week. I was constantly there doing something. And then as soon as it stopped for like the break in the year, I would get sick immediately.
Right.
Because for the whole time I was like, don't get sick, don't get sick. And then your body just crashes.
Yeah. Well, they always talk about that too, like how you get sick on vacation or something because your body's finally relaxed.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden you're like, ugh. But I would say even more to connect with what Travis might be going through. Like, I'm sure a lot of people experienced something similar over COVID.
Oh, absolutely.
When just everything was done.
Yeah.
They couldn't work.
And now you just have to face your shit.
They can't even go out. They can't do. And and we didn't know what the money situation was going to be initially either.
Yeah.
And, not everybody was well off either in that situation. But just to kind of lose an identity in general.
Sure. Yeah, you're right. That's a very good point. That is a loss of your identity. You're not a soldier at this point. Like,
I know I always had issues every time, like, especially in high school, because I identified as an athlete.
Right.
So those like 2-3 weeks between like sports, I used to like, I wasn't even really joking. It was like really sad. I almost lost a friend every time between those periods because there was room for like drama and things to happen. It was just like, what's going on? I remember it was like so hard. And also like, I like a schedule to an extent. So to not have that, you feel lost. Like you're like, oh, I realized I don't even know how to like make a plan for a day.
Sure. It's a very valid point. So it seems pretty, I won't say logical, but maybe logical that this would be the time that the crashing would start to happen.
Sure.
And to me, that doesn't say that like, oh, it's because of this. It just says to me that it was an inevitability. And if he didn't slow down then, he would eventually, and it was just going to catch up with him sooner or later. So at this point, Travis started sleeping less and less until it whittled down to 1 to 2 hours a night.
Oh,
sleep deprivation is very bad for your brain.
Yes, it is.
Makes your brain start to eat itself after a certain point. Not good. He also started to act very paranoid and jumpy. These are classic PTSD symptoms. Then he started waking up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat and screaming.
Oh,
that's very scary. Like he would soak through the bed sheets and was just screaming. Again, you go to sleep, everything turns off, and that's when like it comes back to you. It's because you shut down and now there it is. This was a very slowly escalating struggle. And there are reports, I think from Whitney as well, that he did try to get help. It just didn't seem to go anywhere. Eventually, though, he did see a psychiatrist who gave him diagnoses. I don't know whether that was through veteran services or whether they went private, but he was diagnosed with complex PTSD and borderline personality disorder. He also struggled with feelings of isolation and paranoia. Now, these are things that are documented from a doctor. There are people, and there are professionals, I should say, not just people, who argue that there is a connection between complex PTSD and borderline personality disorder. That traumas like that can lead to a personality disorder like that. They are not always separated. They are sometimes bedfellows. So we don't know if Travis suffered with that before he went into the military or if his experiences there kind of triggered it.
Right.
But the fact that they are both there to me says that they could potentially be related. I don't know that, but I do know it's possible.
So, question then just about borderline personality disorder. Is it typically like not related, so not relating it to a soldier?
Okay.
But is it typically something that you're born with, or do we not even like necessarily know?
You know, we don't even know that. I mean, there are arguments with borderline that it is trauma-based in a lot of places, or that it is something you can develop. I don't know if a lot of people are born with personality disorders like that, or whether it's events in their life. And I don't think I'm alone in that, obviously.
Right.
But borderline especially is linked to trauma. And it's also occasionally linked to the complex PTSD associated with undiagnosed neurodivergence.
Okay.
Which is very interesting. Basically, anything where you're forced to cope with something you have to hide for a long period of time like that has its ties to borderline personality disorder. I'm not saying this is like written in blood anywhere, but I've read more than several articles about it.
Yeah.
So it's possible. I know that borderline personality disorder is often touted as a serial killer's best friend. There's a lot of them that have been diagnosed with it. Recently, we are more inclined to lean towards like antisocial personality disorder or narcissistic personality disorder. But the thing with borderline that everybody should know going further into this particular case is that it is at its heart a disorder of self-destruction.
Okay.
You may do things that end up being very injurious to other people, but they're usually aimed at you somehow.
Right.
These people have real struggles with themselves. And it can cause a lack of empathy because they just feel like they're alone and everyone is against them. But that deep-seated feeling of like, I'm awful can cause a lot of problems. And you can see how that could be connected to trauma, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So all of these factors led to, according to Whitney, Travis asking for a divorce. Now, it is stated in most sources that Whitney filed for divorce, but Travis, she says, asked for the divorce first because he claimed that with all of the problems he had, he just wasn't worth being married to anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, this isn't even, shouldn't even be with me. We should just get divorced.
Oh.
Yeah, that's devastating to hear, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure that behind the scenes, their home was also a pretty difficult place to be at that time. I'm not saying he was right. I'm just saying that I'm sure there were struggles. Now, every single source also gives different dates and information for this divorce. I'm not kidding. Everyone.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Some say Whitney filed, some say Travis filed. We know that sometime between 2022 and 2023, a divorce was filed for, and in March of 2023, it was finalized. That's what we know.
Okay.
The exact dates are inconsequential. Whitney was granted full custody, but initially, Travis had visitation every other weekend. He would get the girls on Friday evening and bring them back home on Sunday, to which Whitney had no objections. And for a little while, this situation worked out just fine. He was getting to a couple weekends a month, just living life. But then incidents began to occur. According to the New York Post, in an article they used and allegedly had direct quotations from Whitney in, quote, Travis Decker's lack of stability was blamed by Whitney for leading to a negative impact on their children. The three girls were deeply affected, which led to heightened emotional stress, she added. Quote, this is demonstrated through screaming, crying bouts at drop-off or when they got off a phone call, she wrote. Seemingly, the girls did not want to go to visits with their father. They didn't like it.
Yeah.
They didn't want him to pick them up. Yeah, that's where it starts to really kill me. Like, can you imagine, like, you have to drop your kids off and they're like screaming that they don't want to go? That's awful. There are a few reported incidents in several other news sources that I cannot confirm, but seem worth mentioning in this time frame. One claims that Travis was very late picking up the girls several times, and that when he did get there, he would enter Whitney's house screaming and demand to see the girls. But I must add that there are no reports of him doing any of the girls or Whitney harm at any point in time. Another report claims that he hitchhiked to Whitney's home. So it took him like a really long time to get there. And once he was there, he demanded to see the girls against her wishes. There's a report that he hitchhiked to their school to see a concert or something at one point in time. And finally, the most ridiculous report is that he sent a hitchhiker to pick the girls up for him.
No. This
seems wholly impossible, right? It's only in like one source or so. It seems like that cannot be true. This story is incredibly muddy, though. Perhaps he hitchhiked to her house and wanted to take them in the car with the people who picked him up. That seems more plausible than some rando like going to get them. Again, every source has a different version of these stories. And so it just leads me to believe that some version or another of this incident is correct. Like hitchhiking was involved somewhere. It was not good. It was unsafe.
Wow.
I know. If it was that he was like, they're just going to get in the car with these people I don't know that I hitched a ride from, I'd be like, oh my God, absolutely not. That's crazy. I can't confirm that happened, but if it did, oh my God.
I know. That's already so scary.
I know. It really is. However, the biggest issue turned out to be that Travis had, unbeknownst to Whitney, become homeless.
Okay.
He was living in his truck. It's a 2017 white truck. And he, as far as I know, did not disclose this information, which when you have a custody agreement, like you kind of have to.
Yeah.
You can't be like, I'm taking them to sleep in my car. It's going to be fine. The girls had been staying with him like wherever he could put a roof over their heads, which seemed to mean in like a military armory or motels or campsites. Now, we talked about Wenatchee, right? It's very touristy. The campgrounds are nice. It's not like he was staying in some like rundown place. There's lots of them. A weekend camping with dad, kids could be having fun. They could not think that was terrible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if Travis was providing for the kids during this time with them in a nice vacation appropriate spot, even if he was unhoused, there's potential for this to have been okay.
Now, was this happening after she found out about him being homeless, or like
this is during the homeless period? This is before,
and then she was like,
yes,
wait,
this is before she found out.
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
He was like in campgrounds or like at a hotel or like motel, not hotel. Let's be real.
Which then can almost that almost speaks to him a little bit, and that he was trying to provide a place for them.
Yeah, when he may have been sleeping in his car, which there are many reports that he was when he didn't have the girls. Mm-hmm. But when he had them, he was staying places. They were not sleeping in like the bed of his truck. They were somewhere. Even if they were camping in a tent, it was in a nice camping facility and there was lots of other families around. So it didn't seem weird.
What year did they get divorced?
2023.
And then when did they have the last child?
She was 5 at the time of their disappearance. So she would have been 3.
So, okay. So
and I don't...
So she was a COVID baby?
It seems like it. Okay. His descent into homelessness, I also think may have been gradual. Of course, because I don't know that if right away it was, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, he would have needed to have a place to live for them to grant custody.
For him to get custody. And he obviously didn't anymore. And what I think happened is that like she would see like FaceTime them or talk to them and they'd be like camping or hanging out.
Right.
And you'd think, well, dad gets them 2 weekends a month. He's doing a thing. He's doing stuff with them. They're staying at a hotel or they're in a campground. They're staying in an armory. I don't know I think that's like housing for military. I don't really know, but you can stay there. But then it started to not go as well, right? And it seemed that Travis was not attending to the girls appropriately anymore either. This is getting into 2024. The girls would be left alone in a camper or at the armory for increasingly longer periods of time. And when they would FaceTime with Whitney, there would be like strange people walking around, which she did not like. None of us would. And it just seemed that things were getting like the ground was less stable, right? And this all came to light in a particularly disturbing incident. So according to Whitney's quotes, I'm going to use the New York Post article, but they are similar everywhere. So this one doesn't look different in every location, looks pretty much the same. Quote, Olivia FaceTimed me screaming and crying. Travis was nowhere in sight, she wrote. So this is her child screaming and crying, should be with dad. She says she can't find dad. She's like, I don't know where he is. When Paityn went to find Travis, Paityn's the oldest, he was out with his dogs. He came back and said that Paityn was unattended in the armory with Olivia playing with the pull-down machine. So this is workout equipment. So it would be like the bar that you pull down on to do like,
laps.
Yeah. And ended up smashing Olivia's fingers. So initially, they were crying because the middle girl was hurt.
Right.
They couldn't find their dad. So they called their mom. Mom sees them. They are alone. One child is hurt. They can't find dad. They've been alone for a little while. This is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Right. She said that Olivia and Paityn were crying uncontrollably while Travis wasn't even comforting them. So once he came into frame and was like, I left them alone to walk the dogs, whatever. He was not like apologetic.
Right.
Which, again, this feels out of character.
Mm-hmm.
So enough was enough, right?
Yeah.
In September of 2024, Whitney had their custody agreement amended in court to allow Travis only daytime visits every other weekend on the condition that he get help.
Mm-hmm.
So she said she wanted required mental health evaluations and counseling.
Fair enough.
Travis did contest this amendment. He wanted his girls overnight over the weekend, and he argued his case in court. He said he only took them to nice campgrounds where there were lots of families, and the conditions that he was in when he didn't have them were not relevant to when he did. He was doing the best he could. But ultimately, the evidence that Whitney provided of his instability combined with his unhoused status, because he didn't have an address, convinced the judge to limit his custody, which I think, of course, is the right decision. It's not going
absolutely.
well. Ultimately, Travis did not get any further evaluations or counseling, though. Yeah, she did ask for it. It is documented. I don't think anybody followed through. But he did, at this point, stick to their visitation agreements. This is when he starts to get more reliable with his like pickup times and stuff, because he does only have small windows at this point in time. Which takes us back to May 30th, 2025, when he picked up the girls at 5 o'clock and never came back. So the last reports of them all together say that he got to Whitney's house at 5. He talked to her for like 20 minutes or so, like really talks about the girls' week and stuff or whatever, packed the girls up in the car, and then left. He did not seem weird. There were no red flags. She did not think anything was off when she spoke to Travis at all.
Yeah. I can't say how I would be in that situation.
Sure.
Like actually be in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only frustrating at this point right now because it feels like I probably would at least want to stick to what the courts also agreed on. Like I could use that to my advantage to be like, we need proof that you're going to see somebody for this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you cannot be alone with the girls. I can come with you. We can go to a park. I can sit over here. I can go wherever you're going. Or you can hang out here and I'll go read a book in another room. But like, we need, or like your mom or somebody has to be with you with eyes on these girls unless we're getting good responses from like,
Whitney,
I don't know.
Whitney very adamantly has stated in many interviews that she did not see any red flags that would indicate Travis would hurt the girls at all. She was concerned about instability and some negligence, but with these short visits, she thought he's not going to hurt them. And she did request this counseling. And I mean, like, there is no reports.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some of it did happen. There just aren't any reports. They just don't exist that he did it.
Yeah.
But I don't know that the courts followed up either. That's the thing. He could have been asked to comply and then had no check-in procedure, or if he didn't do it, there was just no follow-up. It's hard to say, right?
And I think it's also really easy to judge that situation without really understanding their past and current relationship.
Yeah.
Because if they were like in love and then just one day he was dealing with his own demons and just was like, we should get a divorce. This is miserable for both of us. she could still be like, but I know, like, I knew him.
And that's
point.
What it sounds like to me, kind of.
Like he's a good man, and then this is going on, and I'm worried for him.
Yeah, she does. That is exactly how she speaks.
I don't want to take the one thing that he loves away from him. And I can understand that too. It's just like, I guess it's just one of those things like, I don't know. You just went, like, sometimes you have to make the hard decision. Yeah. Like, you just have to, like, not think emotionally and just more logically sometimes. Yeah. I don't know. But again, that's the other side of it. Like, I could see if that was.
We're also talking about a course of 9 months.
Yeah,
it's very
fast.
Short.
Yeah.
They had the amendment to his custody made in September of 2024 that went missing in May of 2025. I don't know how much the courts could have caught up with him, how much evaluation or therapy they could have organized, and he didn't. I don't really know. That's a short period of time. It's a lot of cracks that everyone could have gone through. And really, the moral of the story in the end is going to be that those cracks shouldn't exist. That's the problem, you know?
Right. So, right. It's like it's not all on her.
No, I don't think it's on her at all. I think that she did the right things on many different instances. I think that she really tried.
It does seem like,
she just didn't get any help. She didn't have the support that she needed. Travis didn't have the support that he needed. And I think that's where things started to go to shit, you know? So all this is to say why it's very obvious the reason that Whitney requested an Amber Alert the second they weren't back.
Absolutely.
You're an hour and a half in and you want an Amber Alert. Well, there's very good reason backing that up, which she did present to the Wenatchee police. And the Wenatchee police did agree that an Amber Alert was merited in this case.
Okay.
However, the Washington State Police Department, which has to issue the Amber Alert, did not agree.
That's so wrong because I feel like
so many levels.
I feel like that's like a community thing. And if that community is aware of this problem and they suspect it's important enough. Also, like, what is the harm?
There is no harm.
Just issue it.
This is like a text alert type thing. It's an Amber Alert. We've got, at this point, we've probably all gotten them. It's not like a big money it's not, you're not putting up a freaking billboard.
Like, it's probably not hard to put out a silver alert.
It's not. It's not. According to the Washington State Police Department, though, this was just a custody dispute. The girls were with their father and they were probably fine. State police claimed that they see things like this happen all the time. And it was not a cause for concern, even though he was the non-custodial parent. And I have to interject here for one moment and say that I personally know children who I watched an Amber Alert come across my phone for. I recognize their name. I know these children who were picked up from school by their non-custodial parent, and an hour later, an Amber Alert was issued.
Yeah.
They were fine. It's okay. However, New Jersey was quick to be like, round them up, whatever.
Well, because also it sets a precedent for you got to be on time.
Yeah.
You did this.
Yeah.
There are like these restrictions put in place for a reason.
Exactly. And she was right.
If you go over even 1 minute without a phone call, anybody has cause for concern.
Absolutely.
You know, but she waited a good amount of time.
Yeah, she gave him an hour and a half, which is more than a lot would give him and then less than some. But like, again, if the Wenatchee Police Department said, yeah, you're right, let's round him up. The Washington State Police Department saying, no, you're overreacting, never mind, is fucking nuts.
Yeah, that's really infuriating.
I'm sorry, that's terrible. That's terrible. They said there's a good reason to look for these 3 small children, and they said, no, thank you.
Yeah. I hope they never make that mistake again.
Yeah, me too. So the night passed, overnight, the whole night. Can you imagine? I wouldn't sleep. No. I would be throwing up. I would never be able to handle that. There's no police action whatsoever. Whole night. No word from Travis. And remind you, the call to police is 9:45. That's a lot of the night passing.
Yes.
I can just imagine watching the fucking sun come up. I'd be losing my mind. So that morning, Travis was supposed to pick up the girls again. Because remember, he has like temporary visitation on 2 days in the weekend. And he was supposed to take them to a family 5K that he had signed them all up for. So Whitney calls this event and they say, no, none of them showed up. which she then, of course, reports back to the police. Okay, like they're still gone. They didn't show up to things they were signed out for. So the Wenatchee Police Department, remember, just the local police, issues an endangered missing persons alert for the 3 girls. Not an Amber Alert, because Washington still won't let that happen.
That's fucking ridiculous.
At this point, they say it's still not okay. They still won't issue an Amber Alert.
Even though he was required to bring them home.
Overnight, they've been gone with no word.
They're not allowed to stay with him overnight.
Yeah. And they still said this is a custody thing, not us.
It is a custody thing.
So it is you.
And there are rules put in place.
I know. Especially with someone that has stipulations in their custody agreement about mental illness. It's in the legal documents. Washington State said, no, this is not an Amber Alert problem. This is a you problem. Go see the judge about your custody. I know.
I'm livid.
Yeah, I know. You should be. We all should be, actually. But because of the endangered missing persons report that Wenatchee puts out, they do start to search for the girls. And I guess the state police help with the search, but not well. Mm-hmm. We've done a lot of people who go missing cases where the cavalry is called in.
Yeah.
And these are 3 missing white girls. I cannot say that enough. Normally, a case like this would have every available asset in the sky, on the ground, in the water, all the dogs, everything would be blazing. This is like a couple cops walking around looking. It's not all hands on deck. They are not summoning local search parties. None of that is happening.
Right.
Casual.
And did she even know where they were being taken?
No.
That's also really tough.
Yep.
And she didn't, I guess, obviously, she doesn't have any trackers on them.
No. God, in retrospect, you think, AirTag your kids. Put them in their shoes, guys. Put them in their shoes. But it was reported to the media kind of quick.
Okay.
And this lit a fire underneath the Washington State Police because, I mean, if you look on the Web Sleuths page for this case, it's like, it starts with them missing.
Right.
It doesn't start with anything
that's
else.
when I remember us reading that when they were just missing.
Right. Because, I'm pretty sure mom went to the media, which you should do. If you're not getting the help that you want, go to the media. 100%. And on June 2nd, so this is just a couple days later, not a long period of time, Washington State Police call off the search and cancel the endangered persons report, which seems suspicious, right? To the public. They just call it off. But what they didn't want to say just yet was that they had found the girls. But
this is going to be the hardest part.
All 3 of them were dead. And the fact that they didn't just immediately say that, they just canceled the missing person and endangered report is sick.
I hate it.
Yep.
Because it's like, there's hope.
I know. They quietly did that, but you don't think that people have police scanners and shit. They're not immediately picking this stuff up. They know what you're doing. On June 2nd, authorities discovered the unoccupied 2017 GMC Sierra pickup truck that belonged to Travis Decker near Rock Island Campground in Chelan County, Washington. The area around the truck showed clear signs of foul play. Shortly after locating the vehicle, investigators found the bodies of the 3 sisters laid on the ground near the truck. Plastic bags were over each girl's head, and zip ties binding their wrists were found with the bodies. More plastic bags and zip ties were scattered around the site, signaling a violent and, in one way or another, premeditated act. It's terrible, I know. Leslie. It's okay. It's very sad and awful. We can be very sad about this very awful thing. They also found a bloody handprint on the tailgate of Travis's truck. Now, remember, these are not bloody injuries, so that did not come from any of them, which is even further curious, right?
Yeah.
Rock Island Campground, just to see what we're dealing with here, is a national park in Wisconsin. I think that probably means that some of their campground is, I don't know about it, free, but probably not as expensive. Aren't national parks a thing you can get into with a library card in some places?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I think that's indicative of a money-saving type situation. There are areas for tent camping and RV camping. Obviously, he doesn't have an RV. But at its core, it's a large expanse of woods, And the tent camping areas are not all super clear. This is rustic camping. So this is for people who really want the survivally experience, right? It's rough terrain. There's lots of bodies of water. There's the rivers. There's a lake. There's ponds. And it backs up to the Rocky Mountains. So it's part of the Rocky Mountains, like recreation thing. So there's a lot of places you could duck into, right? Travis's truck was found in a wooded area off the beaten trails. There's kind of trails most places. This was kind of off the way, but he had to be able to drive. So it's not like in woods. And a short walking distance away from the truck was a small campsite that they had put up with a tent, a cooler, and a place where the campfire had clearly burned. So there was like a place to camp laid out. Travis's dog was found wandering aimlessly by the campsite as well. The dog lives, you guys. He was taken to the local humane society. There are some people for whom dogs are a real sticking point. Don't worry. But Travis was nowhere in sight. And there's no trace of him.
Right.
There's no footprints. There's no stuff leading into the woods. There's nothing.
They have nowhere to go from
exactly.
here.
It looks like he evaporated. I know this looks bad for Travis, but we don't have any hard evidence that he did this yet, right? A lot of times people will argue like, well, someone could have come and done this, and then they could have also killed him, and he could be in the woods somewhere dead. We don't know. I mean, it's whimsical to think that way, but at this point, if you are legal representation looking at this case, you have to say that, right?
Sure.
But then the blood on the truck was DNA matched to Travis. That's somehow he was injured in this. This strengthens the link between Travis and the vehicle and the crime scene. Any fingerprints additionally found on the girls that were not belonging to them themselves belong to Travis. I assume this includes on any kind of bags or zip ties, but I cannot confirm this. It just says fingerprints. So that's all we know. Autopsies determined that the 3 girls died from suffocation, and their deaths were all obviously ruled homicides.
Right.
All of that also looks very bad. But then there were the internet searches. Now, most of the time this would say like, how much chloroform do I need or something like that. We're not talking about something that definitive, but just before this incident occurred, Travis had been searching the internet for jobs in Canada. He looked up how to move to Canada. He also looked up how he might transfer his custody rights there. This leads me to believe he wanted to do that legally.
Right.
How do I get citizenship? How do I move? How do I get my girls to be able to visit me? How do I get a job? Those are not shady things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you say like, how do I cross the border? How do I not get caught by immigration? How do I dodge my child support or whatever? That's not it. He looked like he was trying to legally move to Canada, which to me is not as suspicious as a lot of people make it out to be, but maybe it was. I don't know. He also deleted all of his social media.
That's never good either.
No, that's never good.
Not unless you put a post up about it.
Exactly. But also, if you're trying to leave the country to, I don't know, escape military stuff, or at this point, he was also still actively enlisted. He technically is. He was given penalties for not going to his National Guard weekends or training. So they have him on some sort of suspension, but he was still enlisted in the military.
Well, then maybe that was the thing too. Maybe he through looking up how to go to Canada, he realized that he was also checking off reasons that he would not be able to get a passport or a visa or something. I guess he'd have a passport, but him not being allowed in.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, to me, I get how that does look suspicious, but the fact that he was looking to just set up his life there, it appears, it doesn't, that to me doesn't say I'm trying to escape murder charges. It says I just want to leave the country.
Yeah.
Not great, but not exactly what some people make it out to be, in my mind. According to data recovered from Travis's cell phone, he had visited the campsite where everything would eventually happen the day before he picked up the girls. So he drove out there first. Now, that, again, this is a perception thing. Maybe he was scouting it out to see if people came by so that he could do this horrible thing. Or maybe he was scouting it out to see if he could make camp there.
Right.
It's very hard to say what his intentions were. No one was with him. But it did lead to first-degree murder charges that he is now facing because in the eyes of the court, this is premeditation.
Sure.
Which I'm not going to argue with. They should be looking for him on charges of first-degree murder. It's up to his defense to say what happened to his brain should they find him. But it should be that urgent. I agree. Then Travis's phone, I guess they could recover his records. I don't think they found the actual phone. Maybe they did. It doesn't really say. They just say his phone records say that it had been shut off on May 30th at 6 p.m. and not used since then, which kills me because they had only been gone for an hour.
Right.
That's a very short period of time. And it says in everything it was shut off. It doesn't say like the battery ran out. It says it was turned off, which is different. Now, whereas the search for the girls had been hesitant and sparsely executed, the manhunt for Travis was immediate and full force because now the news had bodies to answer for.
Right.
Which this is the part that makes me the angriest of all, is that you couldn't look for those children, but now that something bad did happen, you can look for the guy who did it.
Right.
This is the problem with a lot of domestic issues in the United States in general. There is no legal recourse until something terrible happens.
I know.
And it's awful.
That.
You just have to wait for
it.
This manhunt immediately became a multi-jurisdictional response. Search operations were conducted across Chelan County wilderness areas, including the Enchantments, I assume these are campgrounds or forests, Blewett Pass and surrounding national forests, mobilizing ground teams, aerial units, and specialized law enforcement support. Chelan County and federal agencies, including the U.S. Marshals, pursued leads supported by helicopters, canine units, and ground teams traversing dense woods and challenging mountain landscapes. None of those looked for those children.
Yeah.
They didn't have dogs. They didn't have helicopters. In Washington, the Enchantments Trail, so I guess it is like a park area type thing, and nearby areas were closed to the public to optimize search conditions. Also not done for children. They could have closed those parks to look for the kids. They didn't.
This is so frustrating.
It's infuriating. It makes me really angry. At peak operations, over 100 law enforcement agents were actively engaged in field to look for Travis, with more than 500 public tips helping shape search priorities. Tips kill me. The search methodology leaned heavily on insights from a 2020 wilderness manhunt, giving similar terrain challenges and Travis's presumed off-grid survival skills. It should be said that aside from his extensive military training, that gave Travis all the necessary tools to survive off the grid in the wilderness for what I believe to be a lot of time. He was also a solo camping hobbyist. And according to his ex-wife, he likes to explore the wilderness on his own with little to no accompanying gear for as long as a week or two at a time.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And then there were, of course, sightings, which I hate because I think they are never right. I think it's the, I forget the name of it, but that effect where when you see someone's face in the news every day, you just see it in a crowd. You just do. There was one in Idaho at Sawtooth National Forest on July 5th. A family reported seeing a man who matched Travis's description. He had a long ponytail, a beard, and tattoos. That doesn't mean that was Travis. Then another tip came in on August 1st from Snoqualmie Pass and the Pacific Crest Trail, which led King County authorities to dispatch drones, canine units, and helicopters to comb remote hiking paths, but ultimately nothing was found. Despite these sightings, authorities were unable to confirm his presence, and many pursued leads proved to be inconclusive. On Friday, January 25th, the Chelan County Sheriff's Office said they were scaling back the search for Travis due to a, quote, decrease in leads and tips into Travis's location. The office said there was, quote, no sufficient information to suggest that he was alive, nor if he was deceased. I hate that quotation. They could have just said there was no sufficient information.
Yeah.
Done. Quote, we get the probability, I know it kills me, we get the probability that if he's still out there, he's going to be looking to obtain supplies, food, or other resources, which right now we're not getting any reports of anything like that missing, says a officer in the area. The probability of him surviving just off foraging or trapping, not likely. Military experts have also weighed in, citing that the likelihood that Travis, who failed out of ranger school, would have the information necessary to live off the land for this long is unlikely. But I don't know. I think people have done it before. Leslie, what do you think? Do you have anything that might refute this claim by the military officers? Just like on the top of your head. Just like.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm taken back to the mid-90s.
Story you just know, right?
Yes.
Great.
Now, let me know if you've heard this one. Okay. Because I can't believe I missed it.
Sure.
So this was the mid-90s, and there was a high school girls soccer team that was flying to a championship game when their plane went down in like somewhere like in Canada.
It was Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have heard this one. They were stranded miles from civilization, Holly, and had to survive in harsh, unforgiving conditions for over a year. Like it was just these teen girls and
teens.
And their coach died, and they had to survive with this and he was hot. He was definitely assistant coach.
Yeah, he was hot.
Who had to
The older coach died first, though.
Yes, the older coach died, but the hot assistant coach was there for them and lost a leg.
Broke his leg. Shit went down.
Oh my goodness. But they had no phones. They had no rescue.
No.
Just their own resourcefulness and teamwork kept them alive.
And cannibalism.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we don't know for sure.
Sure.
They're not talking.
Sure.
It's in the media.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, isn't that wild? Yeah. Have you heard that one?
I have. My theory is that they were closer to civilization than you think.
Yeah.
Guys, Leslie, tell our audience what that was in case they don't know.
It's a TV show called The Yellow Jackets.
It's the plot of Yellow Jackets.
Yeah. It's a great show.
It's a super great show. I can't wait for season 4. I'm so excited.
Okay. No, but some real examples for you.
That was a year, though.
Yeah.
It was a long time.
It was like what? It was
more than a year, I think. It was a long ass time.
18 months or something.
Yeah, it was really long.
Yeah. Year and a half. I don't know. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Let's start with something kind of similar to Travis, right?
Sure. Okay.
So there's this guy, Eric Rudolph. He was a former U.S. Army paratrooper. In 1996, he bombed the Atlanta Olympics and other targets, then disappeared into the Nantahala National Forest in North Carolina.
As one would.
Nantahala. I apologize. So that forest is pretty rugged, it's steep, and it's bear-filled terrain.
Ooh,
so
full of bears. Got
it. Rudolph survived for 5 years.
What? 5 years?
He lived on wild plants, raided dumpsters at night, and hidden caves and rhododendron. Yes. I was saying it all before we started this episode.
Okay.
And, rhododendron thickets, so thick you couldn't see more than a few feet. Search teams combed the forest with dogs, helicopters, and infrared scanners and still missed him.
Wow.
He was only caught because a rookie cop happened to find him behind a grocery store dumpster at 4 a.m.
What?
5 years later.
5 years later?
They probably just took him in. I believe he just found this guy and was I got to take you in. And then they were
miscreant.
Oh, shit.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's crazy. And that's not Yellow Jackets.
No. And the thing is with that one, this one does remind me of what could possibly happen with Travis's story, because they're not getting alerts of little thefts happening.
Right, because it's dumpster diving.
They weren't getting alerts on that either. He was very careful.
Wow. 5 years.
Yeah.
That's so long. So rhododendrons have hallucinogenic properties in some ways.
Yeah.
Maybe he was tripping balls the whole time. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Also, the bombings, he called in twice before they went off.
What?
Yeah. Which is one of those things where I'm I remember a period of time where bombings became more serious. They'd have a call in and everybody had to do a sweep.
Yeah, where
and
bomb threats were they took them seriously.
Yeah. And I feel I wonder if this is around that time.
It could
because maybe they were these crazy people.
Sure.
We have security. People would see shit.
Yeah. That's nuts.
I know.
That's so long.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have Christopher Knight. They call him the North Pond Hermit.
Oh, I know. I think I know this one, actually.
So he's not he's not military. He has no formal training, no dramatic crime spree. In 1986, at age 20, he just walked into the Maine woods and didn't come back.
I'm just going to take it to the woods.
Yeah. For 27 years, Christopher lived alone in a camouflaged camp just yards from summer cabins.
Oh, I didn't know it was 27 years. I do know some of this one.
Yes. People walked past him all the time and never knew. He survived Maine winters without a fire, melted snow for water, and stole food and gear in quiet little burglaries. And the locals thought that the thief might be a ghost. I kind of think we talked about this.
We did, I think. Didn't he stole like a candy bar here and there and stuff?
He would, like people... Little...
He would go in and he just stole like food and stuff. He didn't steal like really noticeable things.
Yeah, it wasn't enough for people to be like, they were like weirded out, but not overly concerned. So yeah, that one's wild to me.
God, that's so long. Didn't he just like integrate back into society?
He did, yeah.
When he was done, he's like, I guess I'm done now.
That was me.
Yep. I'm out of the woods now. What?
Yeah. Okay. So then we have Shoichi Yokohi. He was 28 years underground. So
what?
Yeah. He was a Japanese soldier in World War II, stationed in Guam. Okay. When the U.S. forces arrived in 1944, he fled into the jungle and dug himself an underground hut. He wore clothes made from tree bark, fished with homemade traps, and stayed out of sight for 28 years.
Oh my God. That man is in a underground tunnel wearing bark and eating like trout from a rip for 28 years.
He was never caught. He never surrendered until two fishermen stumbled upon him in 1972.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just like almost like pure luck, like what he was dealing with, right? Then we have Agafia Lykova. She is called the Woman of Taiga.
Oh, a lady.
Yeah. So it's not just men who vanish into the wilderness.
We can do it too, guys.
But her story is a little different.
Of course.
So she was born in Siberia. She was born in Siberian taiga in 1944 and is still living there today, alone in her 80s.
Oh, okay.
Her family fled religious persecution in the 1930s, walking hundreds of miles into one of the most remote forests on Earth. She grew up with no electricity, no running water, no stores. She learned to hunt, grow food, preserve it for brutal winters, and make her own clothes from animal skins.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm just like thinking about like her, like the family too, them having to like learn to do all this as well.
Wow.
When Soviet geologists stumbled upon the family in 1978, they were shocked that the Lykovas had survived for more than 40 years without any contact from the outside world. And then Agafia just never left. Her life she just never left.
For the 40 years?
She doesn't have a gun. She doesn't have anything. She's like living out there.
Living in the wilderness?
Yes. Outlasting those elements.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And so like, I believe that the family had like some knowledge of how to like do these things. Sure. And then they just like, and then taught themselves to.
Right? Yeah, you have to.
Exactly. But, and it almost makes sense. Like, I feel like that would be too much of a culture shock for her to like come out of that. If that's what she was doing for 40 years.
You can't just go to McDonald's and sit down.
No. Oh my God.
You would die.
Yes.
Immediately.
Oh my gosh. All right. And then the last example I'll give is extremely different. This was, well, I guess not too different, but this one was more like planned and voluntary, and he was happy about this. But
they all seem to be kind of like, well, all right, I'll take to the woods.
So Glenn Villeneuve, who some people might know from Below Zero, he was on there from like 2013 to 2019.
This man is on a show?
Yeah, he was a voluntary isolationist. He was, so in 1999, he left Vermont for the Brooks Range of Alaska, which is 200 miles from the nearest road. He hunted moose and caribou that he used for like food and for materials. That's how he made all his clothes and everything. He fished from frozen lakes. This was like right like, I think it's like right above the Arctic, like where he was from or where he was living.
The cold
Arctic
part is so scary.
Yeah. And he built his own shelter. He sometimes went months without seeing another person. Once he walked 60 miles through waist-deep snow just to get supplies, which means that he had to walk back with the supplies.
So that's really 120 miles.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so there were like, he's had to deal with like wolves at his cabin where he's had to like, and he does have
just
things
like
to take
Yellow
care
Jackets.
of. Yeah, just like the Yellow Jackets. But he does have things to take care of them, but he was trying to like learn from them and see how he can almost like coexist with them.
Wow.
Like he was trying very hard not to like disturb like the ecosystem either. And he had a family. Like he has a family. So
that was not in the Arctic with him.
They would come to stay with him for like periods of time. He had children that would come to stay with him.
No.
I think so. I actually first heard his story. So I didn't see that Below Zero. And some people may have. I didn't even realize he was on it for that long. He ended up leaving the show because he was trying to live like quote unquote like authentic lifestyle. And they were getting to a point where they wanted to like make a story happen.
Right, sure.
And he was like, no, like this is just what I'm doing. So he like got off the show. He's like integrated. He still goes out there, but he's a lot more like integrated back into like regular life.
Oh my God.
But I can't remember if he was already divorced and just hadn't had these kids.
He would be.
Right. But I do think he had like a girlfriend. Like he got a girlfriend at some point and she came to live with him for a while. And then
he was like, come live with me in the wilderness, in the snow.
And this is what I can't remember because I listened to it on a podcast of like, He Who Shall Not Be Named. I won't say.
Okay.
But I can't remember if she had a child and like they lived there together for a while. And then she was like, I don't think we can do this.
She pushed out a baby in the wilderness in the Arctic.
No. I don't think they had a child together.
Thank
I think
God.
she brought her like, I don't know.
That's worse. I'm sorry. That's worse. She's like, I'll just bring this kid with me into this wilderness situation.
But I think she was also somewhat trained. Like
one
I think
would
there
have
was,
to be.
Yeah. But he would train for, like he was training for a while to do this. Like he was training, I think this is the other crazy thing, because he has a family, he like went into isolation for like a year and a half before doing this as well. But anyway, that's like really off topic because it's really not even there. But it's like people can do this. Like he wasn't like military trained for that either. He just tried it. And he did those hiking. I guess that was the thing that I thought connected him a lot to Travis in the way that he would go out for these treks. And it wasn't weird for him to like then go away for a while. So if Travis was going on these like hikes for a week or two, that to me is like, he's like training too. Now, or enjoying it. But at the time,
still you're
he is getting
information. You have experience.
Information and training and lay of the land and
oh my God, that's so long. Some people were out there for so long,
and I feel like Glenn's skills that he adapted. Like if he wanted to vanish, like he easily could.
Wow. Yeah, oh no, that guy could just disappear. Yeah. If he did, he could do anything and then be gone.
Yeah.
Because if you can survive like in a hole in the snow or something, or like the Japanese guy that just dug a hole in the wilderness and was there forever.
Or like Christopher Knight, who like had no training, who just walked into the woods.
He took to the woods.
And he was just right there. He was right there.
Yeah, this was like, well, also very similar because Travis disappeared technically in a camping area where people do exist. I mean, like they have tent camps, they have RV places. He was on the edge of the Rocky Mountain like recreation facilities too. He could just sneak into people's like camps and steal, like Christopher Knight did, steal candy bars or a package of rolls or you know, like whatever, just whatever you can get your hands on and run just to live. Right. Bottle of water. It's
right. Or like Eric Rudolph, like the first one, like he also went unnoticed. Yeah. And he just lived off the terrain and dumpster diving.
Which people,
so nobody would have like,
you're right,
called in any issue for.
No, if you don't, they're like, he would have needed to get supplies. Right. But if he doesn't walk in somewhere to purchase some supplies or steal a very obvious amount of supplies, no one's going to know.
Yeah.
I mean, there are lots of possibilities. There are a few other options other than just like walking into the woods and being there forever. He did look up relocating to Canada. Can't be that far away, right, Leslie? How far away was Canada from Wenatchee?
Like only 160 to 170 miles away. Great. Or, for our for everybody else in the world, that would be 257 to 274 kilometers.
Traversing. And that's probably like over mountains and shit too. It's probably not.
And it would take, and then this I think would actually probably help you and I the most. It's like a 3 to 4 hour car ride.
Okay.
In like okay weather. But it's, you would drive north, obviously.
Well, I mean, maybe. And maybe he had other plans, you know?
Wait, no, I'm sorry. Let me repeat this. So, yes, the mileage is correct. Yeah. But the closest border crossing is likely the Douglas Peace Arch crossing near Blaine, Washington, which is roughly 3 to 4 hour drive from Wenatchee.
See? So, I mean, I guess he could have found his way there, I guess.
Yeah.
He might have had different other plans too. According to the People magazine article, quote, Morrison, I believe is a detective, says he can't discount the possibility that Travis may have hitchhiked out of the area. Hitchhiking just has come up in this story before. So he very well could have hitchhiked or gotten picked up by somebody he knew. He could have said, hey, pick me up at this point at this time before the girls were discovered. Again, his picture wasn't out immediately and there was no Amber Alert. So he could have hitchhiked right away and no one would have known that he was a person who had just done something awful. They would have just given him a ride, you know? And again, hitchhiking is not in this story. So
you just would hope that somebody would come forward with that
afterwards. But also, like, who knows what he looked like after that?
True, yeah.
You could have done anything. You could have encountered a person who doesn't pay attention to the news. He could have shaved off all his hair and his beard. He could have changed his clothes too. He could have, I don't know, could be a person who doesn't want to admit that they picked him up and took him somewhere. It could be just about anything. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying it is a possibility. The article says, quote, there are roads in the area that he could have made it to. And if someone wasn't paying attention, they might have provided a ride to him, not knowing that he was associated with this incident. Or maybe they did know and they were someone who knew him in general, just like I said. So we're on the same page. The police said, quote, we're frustrated because certainly we'd like to have closure, not only for our community, but for the family, says Morrison. And with the amount of resources we put in there, I was kind of hopeful that we would have gotten something. This could be a longer, drawn-out search, and we're still optimistic that we'll get closure. I don't like that he's like, we put a lot into this case, so
I know.
I don't like that, but so there still exists the possibility that Travis also didn't work alone. Some conspiracy-minded people think that maybe he had somebody who he was collaborating with or who picked him up, or I don't know. Some people just think there could have been somebody else involved. There are no concrete indications that another person was there at all. So this is just people spitballing.
Yeah.
But okay, whatever. I also think it's possible that, like I said, on his way out, he was able to change his identity in one way or another. Like, if he looked different and you're not paying close attention, you've seen a photo here or there or a police sketch, you're not going to necessarily immediately think you're probably that guy. You know what I mean? We just don't know. Travis Decker is still wanted on charges of first-degree murder and kidnapping. He is, for those of you who need to mark this down, he's 32 years old, approximately 5'8", and weighs 165 pounds. He has brown hair, often worn in a long ponytail, hazel eyes, and may be sporting a full beard and mustache. He's been reported wearing a cream or tan-colored t-shirt, black athletic shorts, a black mesh baseball cap, and carrying a black JanSport backpack. He may also have gauged earrings and be wearing low-top sneakers like Converse or Vans. Travis has military survival training and is considered armed and dangerous. One little caveat on that. There is no record that he has any kind of firearms. He's a military person. He probably owns them, but there is no proof that he took any of them into the woods with him. My argument there is that if you were going to commit a horrible crime, wouldn't you want to do it faster?
Yeah.
I can't believe that if he had a firearm, he would just choose another option. That feels like the craziest of all options to me, but I don't know. But if you do see someone matching this description, do not approach him. Instead, immediately call 911 or submit a tip to the United States Marshals Service at 1-877-WANTED-2 or 1-877-926-8332. You can also contact Chelan County Sheriff's Office at 509-667-6851. Travis is still at large. Now, while that information is the most relevant stuff to take away from this case, as it is necessary to solve it, I'd like to end this episode by remembering the girls a little bit because we did not talk about them. And I feel like we should. So there were 3 sisters. We'll provide photographs of them. Paityn was the eldest. She was 9, described by her mother as endlessly curious and expressive, often bursting with emotion and eager to share every detail of her life. Evelyn was 8. She was more reserved, and her connection with her mother was deeply nurtured through intimate one-on-one bedtime chats. That's how my child is too. She really wants to talk the most when it's time for bed. Olivia was the youngest, 5 years old, and she was characterized simply as a very happy and bright presence in any room. Whitney Decker, their mother, continues to campaign for more mental health support for United States veterans. This is a platform she is very, very passionate about, and I don't blame her. She strongly believes that all of this could have been avoided if Travis had gotten the help and support he so very clearly needed. And I think that she is 100% right.
Yeah.
This is something that could have been avoided had they just listened. Whitney has stated that she doesn't believe Travis is a monster. She says that he was a good man who snapped. Yes, the system failed those poor girls and their mother, Whitney, multiple times, and it is nightmarish to think about, but the system also failed Travis. Perhaps he ended up taking his own life, as many people speculate. Perhaps he fled because he didn't want to be caught, or perhaps he ran because he was solely occupied by one thought, the horror of his other self. And that is the story.
Just so horrible.
It is very sad and it is very horrible. Just epilogue type thoughts. In my opinion, I think that this was some sort of psychotic or manic break with reality. I don't think that he purposefully and knowingly killed his children. I think he probably believed that he was doing something to save them from something, or like, you know, what people say when they're in. I believe this was a mental health crisis. Could I be wrong? Of course I could be wrong. But there was nothing for him to gain otherwise. It's not as though he had burdensome custody of those girls. He did not have to pay for their lives or wasn't required to keep them for long periods of time. His custody was wildly diminished, and his ex-wife had full custody of the children. And they didn't have any like insurance policies that he stood to get money from upon their deaths. There was no reason at all. So from where I'm sitting, it seems Whitney seems to be right. This is just something broke inside of him.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. I'm so sad.
I know. Leslie's very, very devastated by this one. And I don't blame her. It's really sad.
I do agree with you, though. Yeah. I agree with your
There are people who don't think that, who think that he did this in a vengeful act to punish his wife or his ex-wife or something. And one of the sheriffs locally told people that if they see him, they should not sympathize with him because this is a cold-blooded murderer. I'm like, well, there's a difference between recognizing someone who is in mental health crisis and sympathizing with them. That's you're not saying the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, but
I mean, you could also argue that it's like a mix of that.
Sure.
Because if he was, you know, going through something where he wasn't thinking clearly, then he could be like spiraling down and getting angry at her.
Sure.
Although I feel like normally well, not always, I guess, but I feel like they would take it out on the spouse.
Sure, unless it's a delusion that turns into like these children are possessed, they've been turned against me, or they are, I have to free them from something.
It's like I can see some of that, like where if they were not wanting to go see him and things like that, and I can, and I mean I've seen that happen, like the parent that has restrictions on the custody or whatever, them getting like visibly upset and thinking that the other parent is causing this when it's like, no, these kids have their own feelings.
Yeah, they do.
But then again...
And this is pure speculation at this point in our part.
Right.
We're just talking about what we think right now.
Right. Because again, in a lot of those cases with somewhat more clear-headed people, they're continuously going to court for that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, so this just, it seems like a mix. That's what I would, my opinion would be. Also, I just like don't want to think about it being like a
revenge thing or something.
Yes.
That's, I can't. Somebody who was trying to keep custody of their children, I don't think that they would go to that. If you wanted those kids, like, I don't think that would be the act that you went to.
Yeah.
But again, there's no way any of us can really say, because we don't have Travis's explanation. We can't find Travis. We don't know what he did or where he went. It just kind of happened, which is so sad and so deeply frightening.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, the only cue we can really take is the only person that was really, involved in the whole thing is Whitney's. And she insists that this was not an evil man. It was a man who was deeply troubled and lost touch with reality. And she really believes that some sort of military instinct kicked in when he was out there and he just did something.
Yeah.
That he was so paranoid and felt so threatened so often that something just snapped the tether and he just was like reacted.
Yeah.
I mean, he spent 6 months in Afghanistan. We don't really know.
That's like what I kept thinking about, like with how the girls looked. Just reminds me of like those awful videos.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Where they're like prisoners and stuff. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I think about with this case a lot is that, like, we don't know why he ran away. Did he run away because he didn't want to get caught? Did he run away because all of this was part of his delusion and paranoia and he was running from something in general? Did he regain consciousness afterwards and see what he did? Like, that's to me the worst of all options is him realizing afterwards what he did. I can't even imagine.
Right.
You just went into like PTSD psychosis, did this horrible thing, and then you kind of snap out of it and you're like, oh my God, what do you do? And maybe that's too empathetic of a view on this situation, but it's one that I think should be considered.
Yeah. But I mean, again, I guess, I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah,
we can't know.
I don't know. I feel like if that was, I don't know. I feel like he ran still in like a psychosis. If he was in a psychosis, I feel like, because otherwise I feel like he'd be like, what the fuck did I just do? And like not even want to run. Just be like, someone take me.
Or he would just be dead by his own hand right there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to find him. He would be obvious.
Yeah.
And again, if that's something he wanted to do, if he wanted to take his own life, he is probably a firearm owner. Would not have been difficult. He wouldn't have had to like disappear into the woods.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, be on the lookout if you're anywhere foresty near, I would say near Washington, but at this point, I mean, who knows where he could be.
I think just everybody should be on the lookout.
Yep. Put photos up in our photo suite this week. There's a description, obviously, previously to this, and phone numbers that you can call if you feel that you've seen him, but really reserve that for if you're sure.
Yeah.
Let's just not see a ponytail guy and call the national police.
Yeah.
Like, let's try. to be conservative about it. Anyway. Toast. Obviously to Whitney Decker. I cannot imagine what she has gone through and is going through continually.
Cheers.
She's also pretty much stopped speaking to media outlets. She's done giving interviews. She does not really want to speak on the matter anymore. We've tried to take cues from her direct lines of communication as much as we could. But, I mean, I can't say I blame her. I don't know if I'd want to be out there continuing.
I mean, at this point, like, what else?
She's
like,
done what she could do.
Things,
you know?
And then that's,
So she speaks through a lawyer. And to the girls, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Those sweet little girls.
I know.
And we do have a new fiend this week.
Tell me who it is.
Jessica Evans.
Cheers, Jessica Evans.
Yes.
You are the best.
Yes. I need a little validation after.
I know. That was a hard one.
Oof. All right.
I just feel like it was covered in a lot of places as like, this man did this horribly revengeful thing. And there's just no nuance was given to it at all. And the more I read about it, the more I was like, oh, this one is something that people should know about because he's still out there, but also because like what led to it. Oh my God, know that happens. If your life looks like that, know that you have to seek different interventions. If you have a spouse that is like going off the rails and you have a custody issue like that, you should know that you can't necessarily trust the court to protect you.
Yeah.
Do
absolutely.
what you have to do. Ugh. And that is in no way indicating that Whitney should have known anything or done anything differently. She did what she took a lot of precautions. It's not like she didn't report anything or didn't try. I mean, she did. So anyway. And if we one day just decided to abandon our lives and take to the woods, we would be dead.
Thank you for listening to the We Would Be Dead podcast. Hit subscribe now to never miss an episode. Rate and review our show on iTunes. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Would Be Dead Pod. And join our Facebook group to discuss the podcast and more.
We couldn't do it. We could never.
Or if we were dating an isolationist.
Oh, no, absolutely not. We wouldn't go visit him. Are you crazy?
We would be single.
You would be dead alone. Bye.